nature of that, but that hasn't been called for yet. However, this afternoon it was discussed at the hospitals that we would be ready to gear up because we could have busy evenings.
Are you working in conjunction
April
with any
29,
of the other hospitals?
1992. It's a day Angelenos will never forget. It's the day a jury acquitted 4 LAPD officers accused of brutally attacking Rodney King by kicking and striking him with batons. It was all famously caught on tape. Reaction to the verdict sparked one of the worst urban riots in U.S. history. 20 years later, the city and its people look back on that tragic week.
And I was driving to the office when I got a call from my assignment editor who said the verdicts are in, meaning the Rodney King verdicts, and that they wanted me to go to a particular area of the city. And I decided that the Crenshaw area would be a good jumping point. So as soon as we got off the freeway at West Adams and Crenshaw, we ran into a group of people that were on the street corner who had already had up signs protesting the verdicts. They were very agitated.
And so we went from fire to fire to fire in central LA. Then we got drawn up into downtown LA, and the same thing there. There was no sleeping. It was just going from fire to fire, no food, no rest, into the second day, which was Thursday. And that's when we came into Koreatown. Our first place we were dispatched to was at 8th and Vermont. 2 carloads of people drove south on Vermont, stopped right in front of the little shopping center on the northwest corner of Vermont, and about 8 or so people got out of the car, all males, pulled out firearms and began shooting over us at the stores in that little shopping center. The shop owners, who appeared to be Korean, came out of their shops in the front of their store as these people are shooting at the storefront, and they began returning fire.
And then all of a sudden they got a phone call from actually my husband, I believe it was, from their youngest son, saying that, Mom, there's a riot going on, you have to evacuate, you have to go home. They quickly packed up a lot of things. I think 그날 보석 같은 거, 금 같은 거 좀만 가져가셨죠. They used to sell some gold jewelry, so they had packed up the gold jewelry, and then the cash register and some of those valuable items, and packed up and left.
The first picture I made when I was down there was some guy running behind a Honda with a chunk of concrete in his hand and just unloading on the back of this guy's window. The first building that actually was looted was actually Tom's Liquor Store, which is at the corner of Florence and Normandy. And when they first broke down that metal grate and people started breaking the windows and filing through the door and collecting anything they can get their hands on, I ran over, stood 10 feet from the door, and started photographing people as they came and went. 2 guys came out with cases of alcohol in their arms, and I was about to take a picture, and the guy lifted a .38 in my face and said, "You take my picture, I'll blow your head off right now." And he was serious.
It happened so fast, though. I don't know, my concern more or less was the safety of this business as well as the others. And they started breaking locks. And so, like I say, we pleaded to them to, hey, don't spare the businesses. They don't have anything in there worth taking.
The next block, we started seeing some of the shops and businesses starting to go up in flames. And then and it was almost like in 5-minute increments, the next block, the next block, the next block. And within a few hours, as far as we could see down Vermont, there was nothing but columns of smoke.
A guy who got beat up at Florence and Normandy. He literally stepped off a bus and the crowd jumped on him. And they beat him so bad they beat his shirt off of him. And some Good Samaritan came out of the crowd, picked him up and said, and I heard him say as they walked away, "I gotta get you out of here, I gotta get you, try to before they kill you." There's a kid with his father coming out of a Big 5 sporting goods store with a thigh master underneath his arms that he just looted with his dad on an afternoon outing. It's like unbelievable.
It underscored how fundamentally flawed the system of justice can sometimes be. And unfortunately, there was a reaction to it. And that reaction is now memorable. It significantly clouded the image of Los Angeles for several years.
And it's really important that people don't discriminate, that people don't hold biases against other groups, that people really have to try to live together harmoniously. I think essentially, I think she's saying the same thing, but I think what's really nice that she was emphasizing at the end that, we really have to love each other. If we can really put ourselves in their shoes, then perhaps we can achieve harmony, interracial harmony.
This is, as I say, not a check-off thing that we've done it. This is something that has to be constantly nurtured, constantly passed on, because all communities go through generations. And the generation that lived 429 that knows the need for communicating, that same knowledge has to be passed on to the next generation of Korean Americans, the next generation of African Americans. Continue the dialogue, continue to build upon it.
I'd say from all of this, and even standing here saying our leaders need to stand up and we need to stand up, we need to start trusting one another. Because if you don't trust the person you're standing across the table with or sitting across the table from, nothing's ever going to come out of that. So,
the bridge over which we've come, without diminishing for one moment the differing points of view that still exist. But leaders take that proposition very seriously, and we choose not to allow things to worsen, but our job, in my view, is to cause resolution in the most constructive way possible.